The transfer window is hotting up. We still ain't signed anyone, but there's plenty of news and stories going around, including Antonio and Cresswell looking like they could be on their way out of West Ham, and us close to signing Carlos Borges from Man City. Exciting signing. Other transfer stories we'll be talking about. You got Skamaka potentially out and Brozier in, and also the Stuyton and Moyes seemingly clashing over players, disagreements, over who to sign, and that could be potentially holding up our transfer window and everything else to talk about. Lads, it's good to see you on this Friday night, this warm Friday night.
Yeah, good to see you as well, mate. As you said, the transfer window's starting to. Well, we ain't signed anyone, so it ain't getting that hot. But yeah, there's a lot more rumours, and it feels like a lot more bids are going in, and there's a bit more activity going on. So we need to start getting faces through the door quick.
Yeah. But it seems like we're still looking at getting faces out the door. We'll start there. Antonio to Saudi Arabia, Aaron Cresswell to Wolves, which was a bit of a surprise for me because I fully expected Cresswell to see out his 10th year at the club. And it's looking like potentially, initially they said 2.5 million, but it could go up to 5 million for Aaron Cresswell. How do you feel about that? I know we did our sell bench keep or whatever it was called. I've fucked it completely. That video we done. And I think the three of us, Nikki said sell. I think the three of us said bench. And Ryan, I know you was particularly sort of adamant, and you and Nikki had a bit of a debate about Cresswell. I mean, how do you feel about potentially selling him to Wolves for 5 mil?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, mate. I think it's a great deal if it can happen. I think 5 million for Cresswell will be. What is he? 33 now. He's been at the club 9 years. I think especially if we've got someone coming in, I think it'd be a good deal. But the reason why I wanted to obviously keep him because I didn't think anyone was going to actually come in for him, and I thought it'd still be like a good voice to have around the dressing room and a senior player. But I think it's a great deal. I think if we can I think it rises to 5.5 million. I think I read earlier, which is decent. I think that it would be a good deal for the club. But I'll be sad to see him go.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. Look, at the end of the day, if we're going to get money for him, it's a little bit of money in today's transfer market. But he's been a good servant, barring the one mistake 2 seasons ago. It's a shame in a way because I would have liked to see him see his 10th year here. Get that out of the way. And, it's another voice. It's another player that has been captain before. It's another player that knows a lot about this football club, has been with the football club through the ups and the downs. And, but I suppose in a way for him as well, it's a good time to bow out. Bowing out on a high. And as I said, the club potentially getting 5.5 million for him, a player that, we probably thought would just be a squad player.
Yeah, and I mean, like obviously with, as you said about Antonio as well, being linked with Steven Gerrard's team in Saudi Arabia. I mean, Antonio's not going to turn that deal down because it's probably going to get ridiculous money, which you don't blame him. With Antonio, he's got a year left with a 1 year option, so basically 2 years left. So we should get a decent bit of money for him as well. And we spoke about this last season, saying that maybe we just need a big restart of this football club and get rid of the players that have been here a long time. And he's another one I'll be sad to see go, if I'm honest, because I do like Antonio. He frustrates the life out of me sometimes, but I do love him, and it'll be sad to see him go as well. And it's just like, I suppose you get to that time when you've seen these players play for a long time that eventually they are going to leave the football club, and it would be weird to not see Antonio and Cresswell on the team sheet.
Yeah, I think there's no denying what Antonio's done for this club. The records speak for itself. And I think both of them, will go out with fond memories of both of them. It just seems strange because obviously Cresswell, a lot of reports about him potentially being the new captain for next season. And now it looks like he's going to be on his way out. And it is an area we need upgrade. I personally still think he has something to offer as a squad player at this club. Yeah. But like I said, 5 mil, Good bit of money for him. It's good for it. I think it's a good move for him as well. And it's a bit closer to home, a bit closer to Liverpool, and his family going up to the Midlands. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't be mad at it. I think Emerson has, really made a good account of himself second half of last season. He's looked sharp in pre-season as well, Emerson. So it just means we'd need to definitely get another left back. And Antonio, obviously the big thing, I think I was the only one that said keep Antonio, if I remember rightly, or maybe one of you guys said it, but I know there was a lot of people said sell, but it was because of how he fits David Moyes' system. And that is, so even if we are going to change, it seems like I'm getting a vibe on pre-season, we are going to change the system and change how we play, but it's that backup option. If that don't work, we've got the old, tried and true Antonio there. But if he goes, Mbama is looking like he could be on the fringe and the cusp of playing first team football. It's a step up for him. So, we get Antonio goes out and Mbama steps into his position. So I think that's good for him, and yeah, great for Antonio. And Saudi Arabia, they've got money. We could get good money for him.
Yeah, look, if a club comes in for Antonio and we get a decent bit of money for him, he ain't going to turn that down. It's ridiculous money that they're offering out there. But
I think, just quickly, Scott, I think that I reckon between 15 and 20 million we'll probably get for him, which is
that'd be yeah. Imagine that. Imagine getting like 25 mil for Cresswell and Antonio. Both sort of around 34 years old, 33, 34 years old. That'd be great business. And then in that situation, those positions you could look to upgrade and reinvest that.
And I think that's what
you're he gets to play with Ballon Dawson again if he goes to Wolves.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But that's the key thing is the upgrades got to be there. The players we've got to get players through the door that are upgrades on them. Like you said, with Antonio, he offers you something different. We are looking, by the looks of it, the way we've played in the two friendlies, we're looking to try and change it up a bit. Putting all our attacking hopes on Danny Ings and Mbama's, it's a lot of pressure going onto a youngster's shoulder. Look, he looks the part. We said this when we see him for the under 18s last season and the games that we saw him. He does look the part. He's got the build. He looks like he could fit into the first team. But you've got to be careful not to put too much pressure on his shoulders.
You forgot Scamacca there, Scott, though. You forgot Scamacca.
Scamacca's rumoured to be going out the door. And this is what worries me, to lose Antonio and Scamacca. And then just relying on Danny Ings, who we know doesn't fit the one up front system if we have to play that. We know he's got injury concerns. Look, goal scoring wise, he's a fox in a box, isn't he? You give him an opportunity 9 times out of 10, he'll put it away in them positions. But he can't lead the line by himself, so he's got to play as a two. So, which is fine, If Scamacca does say, and you're saying we've got Scamacca, Danny Ings, and Mbama as a backup, it's not a bad front three.
I think Scott. I think I can't see Scamacca leaving, if I'm honest.
I hope he doesn't.
And if there's rumours are true that Borges coming in, he would be obviously the replacement for Antonio, which means then you've got Danny Ings, Mbama, Borges, and Scamacca, which is a great options to have. And as Dan said, David Moyes has been sort of playing a different formation in pre-season, which makes me think that he might have learned from last season that he's got to have a plan B. So he's got to mix it up a bit, and that's why he's trying it. And the other day against Tottenham, look, it wasn't great, but it's pre-season, and at least our defenders got worked and Fabianski got worked. Because sometimes you can play pre-season friendlies and win 10-0, and what do you learn from that? So it's about learning in pre-season. But look, 13 goals in 3 games, we're putting the ball in the back of the net. So.
Which was the big problem last season, was scoring goals. And like I said, obviously it is pre-season, but it seems to be something we're working on, is to try and get the ball in the back of the net a bit more. And you look at it like you said, obviously Borges' potential. I do worry about Borges. I know, like, the exciting thing is Moyes seems to really, really want him. Like, Moyes was gunning for him hard. That was his first choice last season. So there must be a way, that he sees that he can get something out of him. My worry is he had a big ACL injury last season. How is that going to affect him going forward? And is it going to be something that's reoccurring? That's my big worry on Borges, as much as I think he's a good player.
Yeah, I think it's hard to rate Brozier on he got that serious injury at the start of last season. Chelsea were all over the place, so trying to get back into that side and trying to perform well was tough in the way they were. They had never had a settled side, so it's going to be a big gamble with him. But he has got the attributes to fit the way Moyes plays. He's the type of striker that suits a Moyes system. And but as we've look, it's a gamble bringing any player in. But last season, I think if we got him, I think we all would have been quite happy. But it's now, like you said, with that serious injury that he had, what player are you getting? We saw with Lanzini when he got that injury, he never really regained that sparkle, if you know what I mean, in his play. So it can affect the player quite a lot.
Yeah, no, look, there's obviously other players that we're linked with. I mean, Scott, cover your ears for this one, mate. But apparently, Flynn Downs could be part of a deal to go to Southampton for for Ward-Prowse, which I'll be honest,
we're going to replace the Declan Rice replacement.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed. I'll be disappointed if Downs leaves the football club because I've watched him in pre-season and I think that he can offer. Look, he's not going to be a direct replacement for Rice. We know that, but you with some of the midfielders that we're rumored to be bringing in, Alvarez as well, and we're linked with one player that I want to definitely see come into the football club is Conor Gallagher. I think he'll suit our system. I think he'll be brilliant. I think Fornals looks like he's going to play more central this season, which is a good thing. You see him the other day, the ball he put through for Scamacca was unreal, and he's got that in his locker. So if we can get that balance in midfield right, then we've got the options up top. I think we're in for we'll have a better season than we did last year, Premier League wise.
Do you think, like, looking at it, because always the talk was Rice going out, we need to sign 2 midfielders to replace him, right? A holding midfielder and someone a little bit more progressive. I look at it and I think Fornals, to me, can be the answer there. Whether he does play deeper, in that role, maybe as like an 8 or something, or he plays as a 10 somewhere. Like, a lot of us have been calling out for Fornals to be played centrally for a few seasons now. And he just, to me, does not seem like a winger, but he just seems to be the answer. You mentioned yourself in pre-season, he just looks he looks a natural there. He looks so much more comfortable there. I think that could be the answer. Yeah,
the thing is, we've been linked with so many like talented, especially midfielders, but you forget that we've also got Paqueta in there as well. Like, so it's about getting that balance and getting them working together. You don't want to bring too many people in the same similar position, but I'd like to see Fornals play more central. I think like he's a player that, like, you give him the ball, give him time, he can pick out that pass, and it's a big season for him next year. And he's one player that I would hate. I know he's been rumoured to be linked away from the club, but I'd hate it if we got rid of someone like Fornals because I think we need Fornals in our squad.
Yeah, I don't want to see us getting rid of too many players, because at the end of the day, there has to be some sort of crossover, because if you do make, we had this last season where we brought a load of new players in and it took so much time to settle. We've just lost Rice, who was a big figure at the club. Now, if you get rid of a load of other players and bring in a load of new fresh players in, it's too much change. And I don't think for the money that we probably get for some of these players, and that's what I said. I said this about Flynn Downs, and you touched upon that earlier, right? If we sold Flynn Downs, I don't think we would get a significant amount of money for him. And we need to have that squad depth. We can't replace all of these players. We just ain't got the money to do it. With some of the prices bandied about on Prem players, and Downs deserves, I think, another chance. He didn't really put much of a foot wrong. He didn't blow the season on fire, but I think he deserves another chance.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think when you look at the outgoings, it's more the dead wood. The players that have been at the club for a long period of time, with the money from Rice is there. The money from Rice has got to be invested the right way. But getting the likes of Cresswell out of the football club, look, as we said, we all thought he had a role to play in the football club. Maybe that Wolves are offering him more game time than what Moyes can guarantee him. But I just think we lose that experience.
Well, the thing is, Scott, Wolves are offering him a 3-year deal. We're only offering him a 1-year deal. So it's guaranteed 3 years in it for him.
So yeah, and that's it. So that's another older player, as much as an experienced player, and as I said earlier on, a player that knows the club. He's not the future. Antonio, again, he is good to have at the club in the sense of what he gives you on the football pitch. His attitude weren't the best at times last season, but again, it's another player who's not got a lot of longevity at the football club. So we're offloading them. Bonner, you can sit there. He signed a new deal. I think with him, it's more out of them three. He's the more solid. Out of him and Cresswell, he's the more solid defender, and we're going to need that left-sided centre back cover because I'm sure we've got the African Cup of Nations this year, where we'll probably lose Aguerd for a few games. So you've already got that ready-made replacement, and I think they've probably looked at that and seen, we need to make sure we've got another left-sided centre-back at the club because you're not guaranteed to get another one in. And Bonner, again, another leader, another player that's been captain, another experienced a player, and someone who's, again, been with the club through the ups and downs.
And he's crucial for Scamacca, I think. Like, without Bonner, I think Scamacca has a little bit more of a harder time at settling in because he's obviously fellow Italian, and I think he's been crucial for Scamacca. So I think you're right. He serves a lot of important purposes of Bonner to keep him for now.
Yeah, and it's just now we've got Moyes has got to work out how he wants to play. For me, you build the team around Pakatana. He is our best player. He's that best player in that squad. You build a team that suits him. For me, you have to be playing Scamacca up top because I think them two flow well together. Benny's on his same wavelength. Emerson's on the same wavelength. It's just getting all the other players around them now on the same wavelength as Paquetá. And you've got to bring in quality. You can't just put all your faith in bringing young potential players in. You've got to get some players in that are going to work and are going to fit the system.
This is why I like the thought of someone like Ward-Prowse coming in as well, because not only has he got the experience, but he's a leader as well. And he's I'm not saying he's going to be captain, but he's captain material, and that's like we've lost Rice, losing Cresswell, losing Antonio. That's two big experienced voices leaving the dressing room. So, we need someone in. And look, whether Downs is going to be part of that deal, I'm not sure, but I'll be disappointed if he does leave football club. But Ward-Prowse would be a player that I'd like to see us sign.
How much would you pay for him though, Ryan? Because to me, like, I look at and I think he's a good player, but I wouldn't want to see us spend more than 30 million on him. Like,
no, really I'd say 30. If you had to push to 35, I think for the sake of 5 million in today's game, I think I'd probably take that risk because he's 29. You're still going to get a good 4 or 5 seasons out of him, hopefully. 35 would be the max. But if it was like 25 plus Downs, then I'd probably say I'd take that. Sorry, Scott.
No.
Let me quickly read Steve's comment because it's been a while, Scott. So hold that thought. Steve WHU Bell, one of the old regulars round here, $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much as always, Steve. If the rumours are true about Crez, Antonio, and Scamacca, we've got more departures than Heathrow, and Downs, and right. Honestly, it's more outgoings than incomings, and it's Moyes does seem to prefer working with a smaller squad. We massively increased the number of players, and we seem to struggle. And it wouldn't surprise me if he was trying to strip back a bit.
But that's the problem is, Dan, is stripping back a bit. You're running the risk of, like we saw towards the end of that Europa League campaign and the end of that season, how we faded and struggled at times, and it's Moyes. If Moyes can't adapt to having managing a big squad, that's Moyes' problem. Then he shouldn't be a football manager. It's good being able to work with a smaller squad and get the best out of a smaller squad, but again, longevity wise, that's not good enough. You can't flog the same 11 players week in, week out and expect them players come the end of how many games we played last season? 9 on 50, weren't it? You know,
Yeah.
you can't expect the 11 players to be at peak performance the whole season. And he doesn't rotate enough. I know he did in the early stages of Europe, but let's be honest, this Europa League campaign this season is going to be a lot harder than the past 2 European campaigns we've had. So you've got to be looking to play your strongest 11 week in, week out, or game by game. You know, so you're then asking players to play 3 games in a week at peak performance. You're not going to have the World Cup in the middle to freshen some of them up either.
It's a big ask. I do agree with you, but we've got a big couple of weeks coming up because the season starts in a few weeks, and we need coaches, we need players, we need a bit of everything at the moment, and it's to get them all in and settled, and that's why I like David Moyes. He has his comfort, then he likes proven Premier League players because they're used to the league and that. I mean, look, we've got a pre-season game tomorrow against Dagenham and Redbridge, and you'll probably see a few of the internationals played that didn't go to Australia, like Areola, Paqueta, Aguerd. So they'll get a little bit of a run out, and then obviously we've got Leverkusen. Is it Leverkusen we're playing? And I can't the French team, and I can't think of where we're playing now. But we've got 2 decent games coming up. So
should we get some comments in?
Yeah, go on, mate.
A few lined up. Good old Miss Amoret says, I've heard Antonio has been playing away. Hope it ain't so, as I always thought he was decent. It's weird. I didn't hear that. I heard that he had split up with his missus, and that's probably a reason surrounding why he would be a little bit more open to, getting that last payday and moving to Saudi, because he hasn't got to move the whole family to Saudi. So, yeah, you never know with footballers these days. But, so right there, it's all rumour and speculation. But, we'll see. Mike WHU says, hopefully we get Mubama, Potts, etc. involved. However, no Moyes, this won't happen and only happen due to shortage of players in pre-season.
I read today that Potts might be going out on loan. But then again, I suppose if we bring in 4 or 5 midfielders, or 3 or 4 midfielders, then it might make sense to send him down to the Championship to get that bit of experience. But I'd be disappointed because I've liked the look of Potts, not only in pre-season, but what I see of him last season as well. And I think he's got the potential to be a first-team regular. Look, I said it the other day, when you look at the way he looks, the way he plays, he reminds you of a bit of Declan Rice. And you've got to give him a chance in the first team. So he could be another little hidden gem that we've got down there. But I'll be disappointed if he is loaned out.
Yeah, that's same. I completely agree. And I think if we do loan him out, we've got to get that loan spot on. Like the club that he goes to, we need someone that's got a hole in their midfield, and Potts will fit in and he'll suit them. He
needs to go to a top Championship club, someone that's challenging at the top of the table, and because you learn your trade in the Championship. It's a tough league, and there's some big teams down there and good clubs, so it'll be a good experience for him. But look, the
thing is, you want, as we said, you want these youngsters to be bloodied and to get experience. But if you're looking at bringing a quality, proven Premier League midfielder in that is going to add, say, like someone like Ward-Prowse, coming in at the age of 29, he's got probably 3 seasons left playing at the top level, and then you look at Potts as someone, right? Well, we're going to bring Ward-Prowse in. He's going to be the next player, the midfield for the next 3 seasons. But let's look beyond. Let's look at that, right? Let's get Potts out, get him the experience he needs to be playing on loan. Like you said, send him to a top club. There's a comment there, Drano Hammer said, send him to Luton. Luton would be a perfect place for him to play. It get experience. And that's probably unlikely because they're probably going to have a settled midfield from what brought them up in a way. But a club like that where he can get experience, get game time, and then look to bring him in again next season, start blooding him in a bit more and make that progression with these players. But it's going to be tough no matter where he goes, because you can never guarantee game time. Like you said, if he goes to the Championship, that's a tough league, but you learn on your feet there.
It's just, you look at it these days, like how many loans work. Like, I feel like we've burned quite a few times with loaning players out and them not getting played and things not working. It seems to be now in the modern game that most players that sort of make it through staying at their club and getting those opportunities earlier on and getting played in that first team and learning at the club that they're trying to play at, and in that system.
And like the club are looking at Alvarez, who's sort of, from what I gather, is like a holding midfielder, and I've seen some mixed reviews on him, and I'm thinking to myself, Potts can play that role, so save yourself 40 million and use that somewhere else when you've already got someone like Potts there. But look, I, as I said, I've not really seen that much of Alvarez, so look, he might come to the Premier League and he might be a great signing if we do get him, but I just think sometimes look at what you've got. Because I think Potts can do that role. And he done well the other day in him and Downs against Spurs. I thought they played well when they broke up the midfield well. So it's down to Moyes at the end of the day, and it giving them a chance.
Absolutely. Sean Hawkins, I don't know if there's any relationship to our very own Nicky Hawkins. Do we need a new right back as well if Ben Johnson leaves? I think we need another right back. Regardless, I just don't think Ben Johnson's been up to it. It seems to me, I liked the suggestion last week that someone said, I don't think you was here, Scott, but someone sort of about moving Kerr into that midfield role, which is an interesting experiment, but it just seemed to be, he was a bit more comfortable as a centre back. So I think we need a right back regardless, but what do you guys think?
I'm with you, mate. I think we Kerr is a decent player. We've seen, the quality that he can bring. It could work. I think we said it before. I think Ryan said it. Moving centre halves into that holding midfield position, it does work. There's been a lot of players that have done it in the past. There was a few that were doing it last season. Soufal, you know what you get with Soufal, but he has had his injury problems. So you've got to look for cover there, and that's why I think with letting Cresswell go, with the fact that Ben Johnson may also go, you've lost your sort of cover. Johnson could play that left right back position. Look, he had a poor season last year. I picked him out as my worst player of the season, and I was disappointed in him because I thought he's got the potential to do so much better. Now, the start of this season, winning the under 21 Euros. The fact that he was in the Conference League winning squad as well, he may come back a different player. The player that we thought he may go on to be. But can we afford that risk? Probably not at the moment. So for me, we do need another right back in. But because Cresswell's going, we need another left back more. That's the priority for me in that back line.
Yeah, I agree. I think Emerson's obviously going to be first choice by the looks of it. So we need backup left back. But I agree, right back, we definitely need it. I know we've been linked with the only right back I've seen us linked with is the Norwich boy, Matt. Is it Max Aaron?
Yeah.
Which I know we've been linked with him the last couple of seasons. So we definitely need cover now.
I completely forgot, actually. Dan Potts plays for Luton, didn't he? We talked about loaning Freddie
half of West Ham's youngsters play for Luton.
They did at one point, didn't they? It was like West Ham rejects at one point.
That's Scott's fucking wet dream, that is, Luton Town.
But John T. Cresswell won't be captain, Dan. We need to look to the future, and selling Cresswell will be good for both Cresswell and West Ham. Fair play.
I think from what I've seen over pre-season, I think Jarrod Bowen should be captain. I think he'll. Yeah, I've seen a different side of Bowen, and we said this the other week that maybe with Declan Rice going, a lot of players might have a different attitude this season.
He looks hungry, doesn't he? He does. He looks sharp. Yeah, and hungry.
He knows he's one of the main players now, and as we said, look, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We only hear rumours and what other people are saying and that. But if you know your captain wants out of the football club, why are you going to listen to him? Listen, Declan Rice give everything on the football pitch. I know that. Like, I would never doubt his commitment to West Ham, but you got to understand that if you're in a workplace and you know that a couple of people or your manager don't want to be there, why are you going to listen to him? You know what I mean? Or your supervisor. So it's one of them things. So you might see a different attitude from a few players this season.
Wookie Cookie says, great name, saw Scamacca linked with Inter Milan. Yeah, I think he seems to be bandied around like so many Italian clubs. Obviously, Inter Milan, don't want Lukaku anymore. They're not trying to sign Lukaku, so they do need a striker. It's just, do they have the money? A lot of these Italian teams don't really have a lot of money. They did get to a Champions League final, so there's going to be some money there. We know he's homesick, and he's been linked for a move. So, yeah, I mean, we'd probably demand at least our money back, wouldn't we? Like, at the very least, what we paid for him.
100%. 40 million a minimum.
Yeah. So
look, he got injured last season. He scored a few goals. He does. There's a player there. There's a quality player there. Defensively, for set pieces, I'm a little bit worried because I thought he lost his man, or his man lost him very, very easy, and for both the goals against Spurs the other day. But he's a top quality striker, and he will score goals, and he's proven that in Italy already. So 40 million minimum for me. It has to be.
Yeah, and I can't see Inter paying that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously one person we haven't really spoke about is the one that looks like he's going to be our first signing, is the youngster from Man City. But is it Borges?
Yeah. I was going to get to that after the comments. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate. I jumped the gun.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh no, sorry. You probably ain't seen how many we've got left. But well, quick question for you here, Mr. C. How's the shoulder, Ryan? Yeah, I see you was mentioning something like that when I come in.
Yes, it's a lot better, thank you, Mr.
What
C.
happened? What did you do for the rest of us who ain't clued up?
It was me being stupid the other week playing football. Like, we obviously was like 7-a-side on Mondays, and obviously Graham plays with me, and we take turns. Everyone takes turns going in goal, like for 5 minutes or whatever. And I was getting bored, so as the ball come to me, instead of just kicking it out, I tried to do some stupid dive, and my elbows hit the floor, and my shoulders sort of come out of place. It went back in straight away, lucky enough, but I've tore all the ligaments that hold the shoulder together. So, yeah, I'm on the painkillers at the moment, and it's a lot better now. But yeah, it's just don't act stupid on the football pitch.
Well, speedy recovery, mate.
I've got an excuse now not to go and go on Monday because my shoulder hurts, so I ain't got to go and go.
Wow, look at that. See, he's still playing though. I
didn't play last week. It was too painful last week, but it's been all right this week. I've been gym a couple of times.
Injections, they seem to be giving players a lot nowadays, and they get just get the injections in it, and then you.
I wished, mate. I wished. Do you know what? It's all right. It's when I go to bed because I'll get in a comfortable position, but I'll move too much in when I'm in bed, and I wake up in a position, and I'm leaning on my shoulder, and it hurts. Like, so, yeah, it's getting better. I'm just glad I'm right-handed.
Garino here says Alvarez complicated due to agent getting greedy. I did hear that. So that could scupper it. Agent fees.
An agent getting greedy, eh? Oh,
yeah, who'd have thought?
My shock.
Old Dom TV says Cresswell should have been replaced 5 years ago. We should re-sign Allaire and we'll win the league. I'm not even going to do that stupid voice he does. But yeah, he's obviously taking the piss out of me. But yeah, I mean, 5 years, that's a big shout. King Robert says Payet. Yeah, that's what a lot of people actually. I was going to leave this till later on. So many people in the comments been asking us about this. Payet just left Marseille. Would you? What I would do to see him in a West Ham shirt again? I think he still has it. What do you guys think? Yeah, he's available on a free. Oh, it's tempting. He's 36 years old.
No, not for me. I think he's going to go Saudi Arabia or MLS or something like that. There's no way he's going to come back to the Premier League. To have him back at 36, could he still be up to pace for the Premier League? I don't know. I didn't watch much of him in France, to be fair. But for me, nah. You can't. People are turning their nose up saying that a 30-year-old's too old, and now we want a 36-year-old who is only going to come to West Ham for money. And if he does come back over here, he might get tapped up for that child support that he's got. It probably owes. So
it can't be worse than the 36-year-old Patrice Evra that we signed.
But I don't know, mate.
This is it. That ship sailed, isn't it? Signing them old players looking for their last payday. It's not. We're not. We're trying to move forward as a football club.
Now, if you'd have said to me, Arnautovic, I might have agreed with that and said, yeah, because I like that. But I don't know. I think the way Pyatt left us as well, and he made Bilic cry, and I'll never get over that. He upset Bilic, and I love Bilic.
Pyatt, look, he's a quality player, but 36, too old.
There's just that little bit of, I mean, it's not that long ago to really call it nostalgia, but that fondness for that season, that last season at Upton Park, and the amazing things we got to see him do, and the joy was to watch.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say if it did happen, I'll like, because the thought of him playing that number sort of 10 role in front of the midfield diamond, like, he's not obviously going to be quick, but he was never really quick, was he? He was just he always knew he was quick up there, and like he could make things happen. So look, you never know, but I can't see it happening. I think he'll be going to Saudi Arabia and taking one last big payday, and he'll get a lot of money going out there, because he is. Look, we all know Payet for what he's done in the football, especially for West Ham. So
if he's sort of past it for Marseille, do you know what I mean? Like he's probably not going to be up to it in the Prem at West Ham.
Be good for Europe though. Throwing a spanner in the works.
It'd be good for shirts now. All the kids would want his name on the back of their shirts.
Yeah, we get to sing "We Got Payet" again.
I tell you what, though, someone's just said it there. If we got like Payet free kicks and having Ward Prowse, imagine having them two on the pitch together. Fucking diving outside that box, it'd be better than getting a penalty.
Mate, equality. And imagine like a quality Payet with Paqueta and Scamacca. The play, like,
and Ben Rama.
And Ben Rama. Oh my god. No, it's obviously not going to happen, but we can dream of those things. But he's probably past it. Ollie says, got a feeling Moyes will still pick Fabianski in the league. I don't think that's unfounded.
I'll tell you what, though, like Fabianski in pre-season, some of the saves he's pulled off in these couple of games, like, me personally, I'd like to see Areola get a chance as our number one next season. And obviously he's been away, so he'll start tomorrow against Dagenham and Redbridge, and he'll probably play. You'll sort of know who's going to be his number one when you look at the next two sort of pre-season friendlies, like the next three, like who starts the most, because that last one will probably shape what's going to be our starting 11 against Bournemouth on the opening day. So I want Areola to be number one, because I know he's been linked with a move away. I think there was another club, I can't remember who it was now, but as I said, Fabianski's had a great pre-season, and some of the saves he's pulled off. I think it was the one against Perth, the point-blank header was a great save, and that's what Fabianski gives you. So it'd be good to have two great goalkeepers at the football club.
Do you think, right, changing the subject a little bit, but it's a bit on what you were saying there, right? Do you think there's enough there now with the squad that we've got to start the season? Do you think we've got a strong enough 11 to start the season?
If everyone's fully fit, we could still put out a decent starting 11, but it's not enough. No, we need at least. I'd like to see us have at least 3 or 4 in before the start of the season, because look, this transfer window's open until September the 1st, in it. So you can get a 3 or 4 in, and then you've still got a few weeks if you look at what's going on and try to get a couple more deals done. But before the start of the season, we need at least 3 or 4 in.
But knowing Moyes and Moyes' track history with new players coming into the club, looking at that Rice is gone and we've got to rephrase. So say we bring a couple in before the start of the season, Moyes won't start. Moyes will start the players that have been there, barring a dramatic injury crisis, stuff like that.
It depends who he brings in.
Yeah, but
if he brought in a Ward Prowse, I think Ward Prowse gets into the starting 11 straight away, because he's played in the
Premier League.
Premier League, players are getting quicker.
But if say we were to do 1 or 2 in the door before the season starts, and then we get the rest in while the season's up and running, do you think we've got enough to get to the middle of September with the squad we've got to be competing and be in a decent position?
The thing is, for me, right, I look at it and I think with some, if we put out an 11, our strongest 11 now, with him moving some players around, like I said, playing Fornals more centrally, playing to Scamacca's strengths, I think we have got an 11 that can get some results and play some really good stuff and win games. The problem is the squad depth. So getting those players in, even if they didn't play, because now if you look at it, say if an Emerson gets injured, we're fucked, or if a Sufal gets injured, we're fucked, or a Bowen or anything like that. It's that squad depth is what we need to build to get us to that point. So if we was able to get a few in, I want to get as many in as early as possible. That's ideal for me. But I don't think we're in disastrous settings if Moyes can tinker and actually, get the best out of each individual player we've got.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'd like to see us get at least 3 or 4 in before the start of the season. And then if we have to, through the remaining of the transfer window, get another 2 or 3 in, then. But yeah, I think we're starting 11 fully fit. I think we're still good enough to compete.
Yeah. Well, let's. Obviously, you touched on it, right? Carlos, is Borges? Is that how you say it? Borges? How you say it?
I've heard about four different sayings for his name. I think I was watching Sky News earlier and they said it different. But yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. I've only seen highlights of him. Like probably most of us have seen highlights of him. He looks quick. He looks very, very quick. And you know what? A lot of City fans rate him. And that's why City want to put a buyback clause in his contract, because they rate him. They want to see him go out somewhere for 2 or 3 years and then potentially buy him back. But look, it's another body. We always said we need pace. So if we can have someone like him, it'll be I think it'll be a good signing. 14 million as well is a lot of money for a youngster.
Someone who's never played in the Prem, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for a club like us to pay for someone that ain't proven. But look, it's a signing at the end of the day. And if we can get it over the line, as I said, we need pace. He looks good. City rate him. So, yeah, let's get it done.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here. I don't know nothing about. I'd never heard of the guy until I saw on Twitter that we're linked with him. But it's one of those. Are City letting him go because they've got the likes of Haaland, Alvarez, so there's no chance of him getting any first team football with them 2 strikers. And obviously, I think Palmer plays up front for them as well. So he's sort of
the winger. I think he's a winger. He's either right or left. He can play on the right or the left.
Yeah. So are they letting him go because they're looking at look. Potentially, he could be a quality player, so that's why they're putting the buyback clause in. But they can't give him enough first-team football, so they don't want to loan him out. They want to get him off the books. It's a tough one. Again, putting a lot of faith in a youngster that's not got a lot of experience in the Premier League. His goal-scoring record, I think, at the under-18 level or under-21 levels is quite decent. I think
it was like a goal every game.
Yeah, was he their top goal scorer in the league last year? Because obviously they won the Northern Premier League, didn't they?
Yeah, and they beat us for the playoff for the whole thing as well. Yeah, we won the Southern, they won the Northern, and we played them and they won.
So he's basically their version of Mbama. Mbama was the player that was banging in the goals for our youth team, and he was the player that's banging in the goals for their youth team. So look, it could be good. It's a risk again, but what signing isn't a risk in the Premier League?
Yeah, that pace, I think, is crucial. And the fact that he can play left or right, we need cover for Bowen massively. And he sounds like he can compete with Benrahma on that left side. Obviously, Cornet is a big mystery. I don't know what's happened to the geezer. Apparently, he's not been with the Ivory Coast, and he's not been with West Ham. Don't know where he is.
Who's that?
If anyone knows. Cornet.
Cornet's back in training.
Is he?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any pictures.
I've seen it on his Instagram. He was in the gym a lot, but I think
I saw him, but I didn't recognise that gym. I didn't recognize.
I don't think was he not on international duty?
No, because apparently he wasn't. Yeah, well, I looked up because Nicky was saying it, and I was like, "No, he's international." And he said, "No, he's not on the sheet." And I looked, and he weren't. He weren't in the squad or anything.
Maybe they've just give him, obviously with his injuries last season. Maybe they've just given him a little bit extra holiday time and a bit of gym time. And but yeah, he's back with the the team he's been training with the internationals that come back last week. So he'll probably play tomorrow. He'll probably get a run out tomorrow against Dagenham and Redbridge.
Yeah,
I think if you don't see him in the next couple of friendlies, then start sitting there thinking what's going on.
What's happened with what's his name? Vlasic. Is he coming back? Have we loaned him out again, or where is he?
Well, we were looking to sell him, but they weren't. Torino, I don't think, were meeting our valuation. I think we wanted like 10, 12 million. They was only willing to pay 8. It was just peanuts.
Why are you back with the squad then?
That's a good point, there, mate.
Very strange.
Very good point, because he should have reported to training by now, because he would have been given more time off, because he was obviously international wires with Croatia. So why isn't he back?
I don't know, Scott. That is a mystery.
That is a very good question, mate. You know,
Vlasic.
Yeah.
But I think so obviously Cornet, his future is up in the air, but if we are signing another winger, I'm just interested to see where Moyes sees him. Apparently he's left-footed, so I don't know if he's going to see him as a right winger who can sort of cut inside or what. But yeah, the pace, we've been crying out for it. Cornet was that pace we needed, but he was injured. Bit more pace won't do us any harm, and if he can play up top as well, that's a bonus. And it's just the buyback clause. I hate buyback clause because it makes it feel more like a loan. I haven't seen how much the buyback clause is, what the fee is, but you look at it and you think, like, because someone, I saw it's a Man City fan, and they reckon it's like 45, 50 million. And, it does sound like a lot of money, but if he becomes a superstar, like, to where a lot of people project him to be, that's nothing really. When if he becomes so important, then we've got to replace him and it's 50 mil. I don't know if there's a term over it. Someone mentioned about like, I think Villa had this with Douglas Luiz. Like, it expires. The buyback expires after a certain amount of time. But that's the only thing that worries me, because you don't feel that it feels like they can come and get him any time.
With a buyback, is that they have to meet a certain valuation at a certain period of time that we have to then sell them back to him, even if we don't want to sell the player.
I think so, yeah.
Or is it they just a buyback clause is that they get first dibs if the player's up for sale?
No, I think that's different. They get the first right to refusal or whatever. Buyback is like what you say. I think if they meet the valuation, like, we have to sell him. As far as I understand.
So Kent makes a good point now. Is he being brought in so that Bowen can play up front?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I like Bowen out on the wing though. I love Bowen when he cuts in with his left foot and whips it in, and he's been doing that a lot in pre-season. He's got a few assists, so yeah. I mean, but look, Bowen's a good option up top. Bowen's just a good all-round good player. I love Jared Bowen. I love his attitude, and I think, as I said, it'll be a different player for us. He had a mixed season last year, but when it mattered, he come good for us, and he's been a great signing since we signed him. And that's why I just think giving him that armband would just give him that responsibility, lead the team, and I think he'd be great for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's my shout for captain as well.
That's an interesting shout. Cornet couldn't fly to Australia because of a medical condition. Because he had that problem,
that mysterious condition,
that
no one knows about.
It's a long old flight, isn't it? If you've had injuries, the last thing you want to be doing is cramped up on a plane for 17 hours or whatever it is. So,
well, I wouldn't say they're cramped up on a plane. I would have gone. They would.
Yeah, but I'm not saying they're not flying on EasyJet, Scott, up in the back of the thing in front of them, but still a long old trip in it. So you think of the sometimes when your legs swell up and your ankles swell up. So
that's it. Especially the injury, we don't know that that in the injury he's got. If it was something that does you could be potentially susceptible to DVT, that type of thing. You just don't know.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting. Borges or Barnes think he'd be the better, faster option. Yeah, that could be really shrewd, because we was looking at potentially paying top money for Barnes, who looks now he's now going to Newcastle. And
I think Newcastle agree. What is it, 38 million, which I think is too much for Harvey Barnes, if I'm honest. It's probably why the club didn't entertain it. And once Newcastle were involved, they're in the Champions League, so it's difficult for players to turn down Champions League football. But yeah,
It's not a
38
priority
million
position either for us, you know.
No, that's what I'm saying. We've got players that can. Don't get me wrong. Look, I think he would have been a decent signing for us, but not that sort of money.
Yeah.
It's the crazy thing in it now, you know, because of the potential that he's got as a player. The fact that Leicester need the money, you know, they probably could have, you know, that's why they've demanded what they've demanded for him. But like you said, we can't compete. You go into a side like Newcastle that are on the up. You know, they had a good season. They got Champions League football this season, so you want to be competing towards the top of that table. You want to be competing in the competitions like that. And we're offering Europa League, they're offering Champions League. You know, you can't really compete. So, you know, we need to move on and see who else we've got. And if it means that this young lad comes in, then, you know, let's just hope we've done our homework and isolated the players that we want to bring in. As we were saying, I think when we filmed the other videos towards the end of last season, you know, having that option 1, option 2, option 3, you know, knowing the players that we want to get through the door.
Humo says Barnes is better than Ward Price, and you said you'd pay 35 mil for him. But different positions, though.
Yeah,
different positions. So
I mean, obviously Barnes wouldn't play centre and mid, you know. And look, I'm not saying that Barnes ain't a good player, but once Newcastle were involved, there's no. He had his heart set on Newcastle. He even turned around and said that Newcastle is his priority. So there's no point going into a bidding war with someone that don't want to be at your football club. So if he's got his heart set on Newcastle, then what can we do?
Yeah, that's it. And like we said, it's not a priority position, so I wouldn't want to see us splash down our seemingly limited transfer budget on a left winger, you know, when we've got Cornet and we've got Ben Rama, when we can get someone who's a young, exciting prospect for, you know, over half that price, 24 million cheaper. So
don't get me wrong.
So looking at,
I would have took Barnes. You know, I think he is a quality player, and thinking you can't sit there and say Barnes is a better player than Ward Prowse. They play two completely different positions. But like you said, we've got enough cover on that left hand side. You know, you've got Benny, you've got Cornet, you've got Fornals if you need to use him out there. You know, the centre of midfield is, you know, you sit there and look at, right, we've got Paquetá, we've got Downs, we've got Souček, but we need another body in there, another different style of player, someone who's going to give us something different. You know, Barnes would have been great. He's a good player. He would have added a lot to the game. But for me, the centre of midfield is more important at the moment.
Yeah, you got Man City fan MCFC Alex says you have a gem in your hands. Borges is incredible, and he could become one of the best bingers. ITF, and I'm feeling old right now because I'm trying to work out what ITF means. But yeah, so yeah, fair enough. That's from a Man City fan, and let's hope he becomes one of the best ones after the buyback expires.
Yeah, in the future, it means.
Yeah. Well into the future.
But that's like you said though, Dan. If normally you gauge a reaction from the opposition, or not the opposition, sorry, the fans of the club that you're buying the player from, in their reaction of how good the player is,
because they've watched them a lot more than we have. You know, that's it. You know,
yeah, Swansea fans loved Downs. You know, they were gutted when he went, and I don't think he's been given a fair crack at us yet. But as I said, I don't think he was bought for last season. I think he was bought to stop him going to Crystal Palace because he was a player we were looking at for the future. You know, so if City fans are raving about this kid, then maybe we have, you know, got a bit of an ace up our sleeve.
Let's be honest, they've seen some good fucking players at their club, so they're, you know what I mean. It's not like, you know, being at Swansea and you're in the Championship. Like, they've seen real quality, so it's probably not so easy to impress them lately. I haven't heard about this. Geordie Toon for Life says, Lola, serious question. Is Paquetá unsettled at West Ham? This comes from a journalist called Graham Bailey. I've heard of him. He's adamant he's not happy under Moyes. Tia. So I imagine that there's... I imagine he's not fond or not crazy about playing this system, the way we have been playing last season. But I think it's probably overstated that he's unhappy and unsettled. I think that's probably been a bit overstated. Personally, I can see him being a bit frustrated with the style of play last season. He wants more of the ball. He's Brazilian. He wants the ball to his feet.
Of course he does. The thing is, he doesn't. He's the type of player that wants to play football. Like you said, he wants to be the main man. He wants to be the one that pulls the strings. He wants to be that guy we look for. He is potentially going to be our new talisman. He's going to be our new top player. You see when he come off in games, he's not happy about being brought off. He wants to play the full 90 minutes. He wants to give it his all. And I'm never going to criticise a player for complaining that he's being brought off the pitch if he is the quality that player is and he's playing well. If you're playing crap,
if they're actually good performance, if they're played shit and complaining about getting off, it's like shut up, get off, mate.
Yeah, exactly. But and that's the thing with him, and I think playing under Moyes for his type of player, for the type of player that he is frustrating because I think Moyes nullifies Paquetá quite a lot in the way we've set up and things like that. And I'm hoping this season with that we're trying to again change the way we play. I'm hopeful now that he utilises him instead of, holding him back.
Yeah, just asking him to get the ball and get rid of it as soon as he gets it, And it's the MCFC Alex followed up with top scorer of our academy. Unfortunately, didn't get his chance in the team because of the type of winger he is. Yeah, I did see that. Is that he's kind of more of a fit for us than he is for Man City with the way he plays. Which is something that's very positive, and I hope that continues to be the case going forward. And I think that just seems to be it. Is you look at someone like Jack Grealish, he seems to be a completely different type of player, and it's someone I think who's going to do well for us, especially if we are playing on the counter attack at times, bursting down the wings. I think. Sounds very promising. So thank you, mate, for your for the insights. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, and as I said, all I've seen from the reaction on Twitter from City fans is they're excited for him, and they're saying that we're getting one head of a player. So as you said, it's always a good sign. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in a West Ham shirt if we can get the deal done.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we are not taking the transfer window seriously, our squad yet. We want to buy second choice players. Who plays in the sub? I just wish that we were a bit quicker and more decisive, and I wish we could get some in for pre-season so they can get settled in, and they're ready for the season. It's a bit slow as always.
The thing is when you look at signing, you sit there and people are saying we're looking at second choice players and players that are not getting games for the club. You look at the clubs that they're coming from. Now, if we're going to sign a player from Bournemouth who's not getting a game, who's not been picked for a Bournemouth starting 11, you've got to start asking questions. But we're looking at players that are playing for top clubs, players that have been competing in Champions League, players that are competing in squads that are competing for Premier League titles. That's the level we're at. We ain't going to attract players that can consistently play Champions League football. We're looking at players that have probably got that experience in playing in top games, top competitions, but are willing to come and play Europa League football, be pushing for a top 6, but that instead of pushing for a top 2 or a top 3. It's second choice players from big clubs who are bigger than us isn't a bad thing, so long as you get the players who have got the right attitude.
Yep. No, agreed. Trini Hammer says, Moyes is not our future. Not sure why he has so much to say with our future. Obviously, I think he's alluding to 1 year left on his contract. We need younger players with energy and pace, not Moyes' 29 plus signings. And I am inclined to agree, but I'll tell you why I'm not so worried about, and we kind of do need to bring the average age of the squad down. I think it's only Bournemouth who has an average older squad than us. But if we can sign, say, a James Ward-Prowse, who is 28 going on 29, and he can do a really good job over the next couple of seasons. It's because we've got such a good academy there that of players that can potentially be ready in a few years. So you have these players that can come in and hit the ground running now, and give us that short-term boost, especially since we're going in Europe next season. We need a lift. We can get some now players in like that. And then as they start to phase out, you'd hope the academy players are ready to take those slots, and we can have that rather than signing like some 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds, that are then going to be here, for a while, and it's going to be a lot harder for those youngsters to break in.
Yeah, that's going back to what we said when we were saying about loaning out Potts. You're bringing in a James Ward-Prowse, a player that's got experience. He's 29. That's not an old age for a footballer. It's towards the latter stage of his career, but it's still classed as what used to be classed so much as prime. A prime of a player was 28, 29, 30, 31. Now because we're seeing so many other young players hit the ground running and getting their potential early, that we now class as a 29-year-old player old. You've got to bring in that experience. You've got to balance the experience. You can't have a team of youthful players, just relying on youth. You've got to have that experience in there. You look at Arsenal. Arsenal last season, they had some great young, talented players, but they still had older heads in there and in and around them. Older heads to sort of hold it down, to ground them a bit, to try and sort of level them out. And when the going got tough, to try and bring these younger lads back up to, show them what needs to be done. United did it with the youngsters that they've had through the years. They've always had a core of experienced players to help the younger players. And you've got to look at that. Ward-Prowse, he's 29, but he's not past it.
Well, we thought about that years ago, didn't we? When we brought through the likes of Rio, Lampard, Cole Carrick, you still had the experienced players around the squad. So I do get what you're saying. It's nice to mix it up a bit, but I think youth obviously brings excitement, because there's one thing West Ham fans love is one of your own doing well, like the youngsters coming through, and like with Mbama, I said it the other day. I watched the way he plays, and I think he will be a regular first team player. I think he's Antonio's replacement. I really do. The way he chases the ball down, he looks like he wants to be on the pitch. He wants to win. He's excited to be playing. He's worked hard. So I think he's got a big future for West Ham.
I completely agree. And I mean, this sort of leads on to what I wanted to talk about. It's interesting. Reports that I've seen is that seems to be a little bit of sort of difference in approach and philosophy between David Moyes and Steid. And we've heard a lot about Moyes' plan for this season is to sign Premier League proven players. Steid's hand seems to be targeting sort of like some young sort of gems in Europe. Yusuf Fofana seems to be a player that he was, really pushing, and Moyes is umming and ahhing over because he hasn't got Premier League experience. And it's, to me, that it's a bit frustrating, a bit concerning, because we bring Steid's in because he does have that knowledge. We do want to be able to find those gems, and so we can get good value for money on some quality players around Europe. I completely agree and understand wanting to get Premier League proven players, especially after last season. But the problem is you're going to have to play Premier League proven money. There's a big premium. And we've heard so many times that we are sort of fairly limited with our transfer budget. We're talking about Paulinho, for going in for like £45 million bid. And it's a lot of money, where you've got someone like a Steidtan who does have this expertise, who can find these players, like Fofana, and get these players for like half the price. And, surely you got to trust him. Like, why have we brought him in if, we're only just going to focus on signing just these overpriced Premier League players? That's the concern for me. And it seems to me, I feel like Steidten is going to be at West Ham longer than Moyes. So, I don't understand it.
I agree, mate, and I think them. You want them to all work together. That's what they brought in for. And look, he can go out and he can find these gems. But if Moyes don't want to take it, at the end of the day, he's the manager, and then that's what you got to look at. You got to be thinking to yourself, well, we're offering you talent. Why don't you aren't you taking it? Like, why come out your comfort zone? We understand you want proven Premier League players, and to an extent, I do get that. But if you could find one or two little gems, like a bit like when we found Lanzini, no one never heard of Lanzini, and we brought him in, and look what he's done for the football club. So yeah, Fofana. I mean, I think that's someone that Mark Noble even scouted last season. I think we was linked with him as well. So if you've got Noble and what's his name, Steitman,
Steitman,
you got them to like offering you a player that you can get at a good price. You got to be taking them.
And that's the thing with Moyes, is that you sit there and he said, he wants to look at the Red Bull model. We're bringing young, exciting players in, and he's not really done that. Do you know what I mean?
Oldest age squad in the Prem.
Exactly, and like you said, if you brought someone in to identify these top talents, these top young talents in Europe, and your manager's then going, oh, well, I don't know, because he ain't played in the Premier League, you're not going to progress as a club. You're not going to move forward. Because, like you said, with Lanzini, no one knew of Lanzini. He was playing in Saudi Arabia before everyone wants to play in Saudi Arabia for the money. So he was playing in a 2-bob league back when they didn't have the money that they weren't throwing money like they're throwing money now. He come in and, he's been a great servant for the football club. He had a fantastic first season. And you've then got to start looking at, where are we going as a football club? If we're signing these scouts, directors of football, whatever they are, to identify young quality talent, then you've got a manager that doesn't want to use it and doesn't want to look at the players that they want to bring in. It's one out of the two of them's got a pointless job.
Thing is, if you don't pick up these gems, someone else will. And you'll be forever kicking yourself, thinking, "Well, we had a chance to sign him. Why didn't we?" So, I agree. Like, you can't have you just got to work together, and if you've got two people out of the three, look, at the end of the day, Moyes is manager, so he makes that decision whether he starts them or plays them. But this is why I think that David Moyes is running the risk, and I think that they could potentially, as you said, he's going to be there a lot longer than David Moyes, potentially look for any reason to get rid of Moyes next season. So a bad start, you could see, Moyes out of the football club.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, look, I completely, like I said, understand, wanting to get Premier League proven players, they can hit the ground running, all of that. If we had the money, you could then sign the Wall Price, you could get Barnes in, you could target the Madisons, splash these players down that what they can do in this league. But it's just not realistic, and we need, several positions. And with the prices that players are going for this season and lately, recently, I just can't see us getting what we need if we're focusing so much on signing from Premier League teams. We have to utilize Steidten. We have to utilize his expertise. And it seems like Nobes, from what I'm hearing, he's on a similar page to Steidten. Nobes, again, is someone who's probably going to be here a bit longer, and they seem to be on a similar page. We heard about this committee that on a signing, Steidten, Noble, Moyes, and Sullivan all have to agree, which is too many cooks, in my opinion. So... yeah, that's a bit of a concern, and that seems to be things like this that just hold us up. If we're all on the same page and Steidten goes, look, this is what Youssef Onana can do, this is his profile, this is all the information you need, I think he can fit us there. And Moyes is like looking at him and he's like, yep, let's do it, you sign a player. But it's just, I feel like this is going to really slow us down a lot.
We had a similar situation with Alvarez, didn't we, last season, where we could have got him, but Moyes didn't want him. And then look what he went on to do last season. He won the World Cup and the treble. So this is the one thing that I think that will start frustrating Steitlen, Noble, and the rest of the board if Moyes is going to start not wanting to take these players on.
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? It is that it's if Moyes is identified, it's all on the communication. Moyes identifies the way he wants to play, right. So we're going to set our stall out this season. This is how I want us to play. We're going to sit there and play a 4-4-2. We're going to look to play this way. We're going to look to do this, do that. Then they're going out and identifying players, young, talented players that they think, what, this player will fit that system that you're doing. And then Moyes is sitting there looking at them. Oh, yeah, I don't think it's any good. Or are they identifying players and then bringing them to Moyes, and Moyes like, yeah, but he's not going to fit how I'm looking to play this season. I mean, if the communication's not right from the top all the way down, it's never going to work. And then you start looking at, we go back to the scenarios again. Well, we actually brought that player into the football club. Was it Moyes who wanted this player? Was it Sullivan who wanted this player? It seems to be rinse and repeat with us at the minute. And we're just, I don't know, we're just not. I'm worried about this season. I'm really worried about this season. I'll be honest. I think we've got enough to compete, but I'm worried how we're going to go into this season and where we're going to end up. I really am. And the way things are going at the moment, it's not filling me with confidence. And I'm normally quite positive going into a football season.
Yeah. And next season is I'm even thinking ahead to next season, because I look at it and like we've said before, Moyes has got 1 year left on his deal, and could potentially leave at the end of the season, depending on what happens this season. And you look at it, if we do go and splash the money and sign a lot of players from the Prem, then we get a new manager next season, which I think Steidten and Noble will have a big say over who's coming in and will be part of sort of identifying that next manager. What are we leaving them with financially? Because we're hearing we're on the FFP watch list. I think we've got to be kind of a bit shrewd this season with our signings. And look, I think we definitely need to sign at least one quality Premier League player. Look, whether it's Paulinho, and again, Paulinho I think is a quality player. Again, he's a little bit on the older side in his 20s. But again, we're hearing 45, 50 million. Like they want 60 Fulham. Like unbelievable prices. That's just not good value for money. And you look at Onana, who Everton got, who we were linked with, and I'm still not sure exactly what happened there. I think there was a bit of a piss about on our end, but I think
with him, the reason why he went to Everton last season is Lampard was his hero apparently, and he wanted to play for Frank Lampard. So that was one of the main reasons why he chose Everton over us, because of Frank Lampard. Obviously, Lampard got sacked, and now he's probably thinking maybe I should have joined West Ham.
He'd have a trophy,
and he's a player that would excite me if we got him in. I think he'd be perfect. I think he'll sit in well in our midfield. I think he'll work well. He works box to box. Look, I'm not having nothing against him because he went to Everton, chose Everton over us, because there's been a lot of players that we've signed that have chose us over Everton. So it's football. Yeah, he made that decision at the time, and he thought it was right for him in his career. So if we could get him in for decent money, I'm with you. I think Paulinho is a good player, but it's a lot of money for someone that's had one season in the Premier League. But
I'm with you on that, right? I think that's it. You've got the risk of him being a one-season wonder. Look, he's got the potential to be a great player, but you find that sometimes players come into the Premier League, they have that fantastic first season, and then they never get to that expected level again. But I keep saying it. Every signing is a gamble.
Yeah,
you just sound like you just described Graham on Tinder, Scott.
you know what? Just on the side, and Fulham, right? What I'm hearing, they could be banging trouble next season. Because obviously, we could potentially sign Paulinho, but apparently Mitrovic is refusing to play for Fulham again because he wants a Saudi deal. And one of the Saudi clubs, I can't remember which one, want to sign Marco Silva, who's got 1 year left on his deal.
They've offered Silva 40 million for 2 years, and they've also Mitrovic as well. I think Fulham have priced him at 52 million, which is what that club don't want to pay. And Mitrovic is obviously thrown his toys out of his pram. I think he has travelled with them to America. I think he's basically been told, get on that plane. But see, this is the one thing that worries me about this Saudi league is that I think we will see a lot more of our players from the Premier League go there because of money. Because look, Jordan Henderson's getting 700 grand a week.
Yeah, and the thing is,
and Jordan Henderson has been you know what he's been doing for, you know, for all the what's it called, the charity stuff and all that.
Rambo laces.
Everything that Saudi stand for, and as soon as 700 grand gets whipped in front of his face, he was fucking. I don't even think he fucking.
Exactly, mate. Listen, it's the age-old saying, mate. Money talks.
Yeah, no,
when you look at some of the players, he's getting more than De Bruyne and all these world-class players.
And this is the thing, right? At his age, right? He's won everything with Liverpool, right? He's now being offered 4 times his wage a week. You know, he's getting towards the end of his career. It's a no-brainer for him. You know, the ones that I don't begrudge anyone going to do the same job they do now and get paid 4 times the amount, because any of us in our jobs, if someone come along and said, you know what, we're going to pay you 4 times the amount that you get a week, we'd all go.
I agree with you, Scott. And players that are coming to the end of their career don't really bother me. What worries me is that you're going to get a lot of the younger players start getting their heads turned, because over the next 2 or 3 years, the Saudi league could be one of the biggest leagues in the world, and the Premier League could be not so little. The Premier League will always be strong because of the clubs that we've got here, but it worries me that you're going to see someone like say for instance Haaland, like, you know, he gets tempted to go over there.
Yeah, but
the thing is, benefit the most though from it, right? I think the England national team. Because I think it will force us, if this happens, and they are signing all these top internationals, and it will force us to then dig into our academies more and push through the homegrown players more. And I think that is something that you're going to see benefit the England national team. You look at a lot of other countries that are a lot better than us, you know, internationally. You know, their leagues, their home leagues are leagues that often get raided, and they have to then go and just, you know, push they're not signing the foreign talent.
I think what you're doing is you're that league, it's a flash in a pan. It'll come crumbling down a lot like the Chinese league did, right? What you're doing is you're getting players going out there that prioritise earning money over the prestige of football. You know, that's how I look at it. If you're a youngster, look, don't get me wrong. As I said, 4 times what you'd earn in a heartbeat, money wise, you know, sets you up for generations. That's how you got to look at it. That money sets the player up, sets the player's kids up, sets the grandkids up, and the great grandkids up.
Yeah,
but
and
at the end of the day,
won't have European football though. The Champions League is
you won't have the prestige of football, and that's the difference. You know, the Premier League, playing in the Premier League is and playing for clubs like us, City, United, Chelsea's, Arsenal's, all of them. There's a long history of football in this country, a long history of top clubs, and you're playing in the most prestigious tournaments. You're playing in the Premier League. If you're in one of the clubs that's lucky enough to be in the Champions League, you're playing in the Champions League. And it's what you want as a footballer. Look, Marco Silva goes out to Saudi, gets paid 40 million for 2 years. He's still young enough to then come back and still manage in the Premier League, managing the top league. You know, he goes out there, earns his money for 2 years. Look at Carlos Tevez when he went to China. The only reason he went to China was earning money. He wanted to come back after 6 months. Yeah, and that's what it'd be. Like, the Saudi league, they'll dress it up as much as they want. The players are only there. Take the money away. No player would go there unless they're desperate.
Yeah, obviously they're going there for the money. But once you see one like last season, like they got Ronaldo out there. Massive pull, bit like the MLS getting Messi. Yeah, I know that they're at the end of their careers, but they're big names. And then once you get one player, you start getting a few players going over there. Yeah, look, as you said, it might crumble, but it might not. So it's I just don't want to see players go. And you got to remember as well, the reason with the money is tax free, isn't it? Like, they don't pay nothing, no tax out there. So obviously they get taxed here. So that's another reason why they think not they don't earn enough money now, like whether they get taxed or not. So yeah, but anyway, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's the thing. It is that, you know, over here, I think if you're earning, what is it? If you earn like 40 million, you lose 9.5 of it in tax. So out there, you know, like I said, you can't knock anyone for going out there. I just think as a footballer, as we've said for a long time, as a footballer, when you retire, look, it's fantastic having all that money. Football players now are richer than any football player has ever been before in their life.
Well, that's what they were saying on Sky Sports News yesterday about Marco Silva. That if he goes out there and they sack him after 3 months or 6 months, he's then got to live out there for 2 years at least. Or if not, if he comes back, he's got to pay a big tax bill. So it's a risk, but
it's mad. But
Marco's
you can see him taking it.
Yeah, of course, 40 million for 2 years' work. Fucking hell.
It's crazy because, like, I think, you know, he's done a good job, and Fulham was on the cusp of Europe, and now they're getting picked to pieces. So that all of this stuff, like, could work enough. We might have a little bit of a stronger negotiating situation because of, you know, what's going on. Maybe Paulinho, once Marco Silva goes and Mitrovic is gone, his head's going to be turned. He's going to have an eye on the door, and we might be able to use that.
I think he's already said that he wants to leave and he wants to come to West Ham. So that might be a deal that might drag out all through the winter, and it might be like a deadline day thing or something. You know, you know what Fulham are like. They're just take the money at the end of the window.
Well, it is reported we are apparently ready in a second bid to go back in after the first one was rejected. So,
don't want to waste all our money on him.
No, that's the thing. Like, we know at the very least, so far we've got 105 million to spend, right? In my opinion, we should have a bit more than that because we can't just have the Rice money to spend. Even though we are on the FFP watch list, surely there's enough there. What we've made in TV rights fees being in Europe. I know we made a little bit for winning the conference. It's not a massive amount, but there should be some money there that we can spend on top of sales without being in trouble, as far as I'm concerned. Whether that is an extra
Everton have got away with it for 3 seasons now, mate. This FFP ain't worth the paper it's written on.
Well, they are. They are currently being investigated. I know that, and there's
currently being investigated. You look at the books don't balance. Anyone can tell that they're not. You know, they've spent more than what they're meant to spend. And what have they done to them? Absolutely nothing. So FFP is pointless. Absolutely pointless. You know, Man City flaunt the FFP rules all the time. Chelsea have done exactly the same thing. You know, it's ridiculous. And you know, it's another rule that punishes the sides that don't generate the money from the worldwide finances.
It's an anti-competitive rule, is what it is. It's anti-competition.
Of course it is. It's meant to even the competition. It doesn't. You know, they done City. What did they do? Oh, yeah, you can only have X amount of players playing in the Champions League. Oh, fantastic, great. You can still go out there and buy the best players in the world, but you can only have 22 players in your squad instead of 25.
Yeah,
you know,
they only need a good 11.
And that's it, mate. That's the thing, you know, and that's what really annoys me. They're looking at us, because we spent 200 million last season. You know, a one-off thing for us.
It's because we won the Conference League, Scott. Everyone's got their eyes on us now.
Did we win? We didn't win 20 million. I heard the prize million was more like 5 million. Is it really 20 million we won for that?
Maybe as a collective, like throughout the whole campaign, it might add up to 20 million. I don't know.
That would be great if possible. I mean, that would be, if that's true, it would be great. But I don't know if anyone can confirm that. But yeah, Villa are another one. I look at Villa, and I know, they sold Grealish for 100 million, and that. But we've sold Rice for 100 million. We're still fucking in trouble, and they're just spent. Ever since they got promoted to the Premier League, they've been spending money like crazy. Aston Villa, season on season, and somehow they've got away with it. You know, so who knows? Away kit apparently is tomorrow. Is being revealed. A lot of people are saying, by the way. Look forward to seeing this. White with. I mean, you posted it in the group chat, right? This little teaser.
Yeah, I think they're rumored to be wearing it as well tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, going by what I've seen, it looks a bit like the kit that we had when we first signed the Canio, white with claret trim, and apparently it's got a silver badge, which would be interesting to see.
It's unusual.
Sounds.
What time are we playing tomorrow? Do you know?
I think it's like 3:00 kickoff or something like that.
If I get home in time, I might take a walk down there. It's down the road to me. It's that Dagenham Redbridge.
Yeah, no. Well, make sure you get there for the first half because they'll probably play all the better players in the first half.
Yeah.
But,
still a special ground for me is that's where I saw Jordan Hugill score a goal in a West Ham shirt. So.
yeah, Dagenham Redbridge is I used to go there a lot as like to watch West Ham. We used to play them in pre-season all the time. Obviously, I've played there as well. One of the worst pitches I've ever played on. It was like rock hard sand with a little bit of grass on it. But yeah, it's Dagenham Redbridge, good football club. So it's be a lot of West Ham there. Like I think when West Ham don't play at home and Dagenham, you get a lot of West Ham fans go over to Dagenham Redbridge anyway. So be a good crowd there tomorrow, I think, and it's good for Dagenham Redbridge as well. Get a bit of money through the turnstile, through the door.
Yeah, well, that goal game I saw Hugill score was charity game that we done for them to try and raise a bit of money. So says in my financial trouble. So Dolbster here says 4.35 million euros for winning the Conference League. A lot of people are saying 5 mil. Red 5, mate. You've got that well off.
It may have been, like Ryan said, collectively, as you go through the competition, the more games you win, you get prize money per.
But I don't know. That's a big margin.
It is. 15 million overall is a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, 15 million for what? The group stages?
Maybe the club earned 20 million overall through gate receipts, that type of thing.
I think we got 15 million for qualifying as well. I'm just making it up now. I ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
Red 5's adamant 20
for the tournament.
Yeah, that does sound about right. Like overall for all the group stages and the knockouts, and so and getting 5 million for the final. So yeah, it probably is right.
Does anyone notice when the Europa League draw is? That's a good shout.
I suppose it'll be in the next couple of weeks. I think it's got to be in it.
You've still got qualifiers going on, if memory serves.
Yeah, qualifiers was the other day, so it might be a couple of weeks time because obviously the first game is going to be in September, isn't it?
Yeah, but we play a qualifier in August for the Europa League.
July, I think.
Was it all July?
It might be another 3 or 4 weeks yet. Thinking about it. What are we? End of June, are we? What month? Or is it July?
They normally do them with it.
Nearly the end of July.
Yeah, they normally do all the draws at the same time. So there's still Champions League qualifiers and conference. I think the Conference League qualifiers started the other night. So I reckon it's going to be probably mid-August.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Exciting to see. I know we're in that pot that we get this sort of fairly easier. We're in the pot with all the top teams, so we won't draw the top teams.
We're in the seeded pot.
Yeah, we're seeded because we are champions of Europe. So apparently, X update Vlasic is back, but won't play tomorrow. So he's back. I don't think we know what to do with him. Poor, I feel for him. Like I like him. I saw some talent in him, Vlasic, and he's another one. I think we played in not a position that flattered him. I think he's another one that's better in the middle, and we sort of utilised him on the wing more, but didn't really get a chance. And yeah, I like him, but I just can't. With everything we're doing now, I can't see a way back for him in the team.
The thing is that you look at him. I think where he's played in Italy, he was playing more as a further up front. As a striker. For Croatia, he doesn't play wide left, and we were playing him wide left.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. And this was a player I'm always wanted.
Yeah, and we paid top money. We would have paid like 25 million for him. Mad. Yeah, I don't get it. It's a weird one for me. So we'll keep up to date with that one. Steve says, Dan and Scott, what's it like working with West Ham royalty? It's an honour and a privilege.
That was, he obviously watched the Claret and Booze interview the other day that I done. He said West Ham royalty, and I said, look behind me. I was thinking, who's he talking about? Royal prick.
Someone else said, great job on that video.
Good. I enjoyed it. It was a good chat, just having like a little, just a general chat about West Ham and a bit Q&A. And the good thing is as well is that obviously when we do our channel, I can see the comments, but like on these channel, I couldn't see the comments. So it was refreshing just to sit there and just, not having one eye on the comments and that, and just have a chat. So if people are slating you or slagging you off, you can't see it, which is good.
Yeah, that's it. All the comments are under his control.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to say, got to mention, it's been a year today since West Ham Peach passed away. Someone who was sort of known and loved in the West Ham community. It's a year since he passed away. So yeah, our thoughts are obviously on with Peach.
There is a stream. I can't remember where it is, but there is a stream where they're doing sort of tribute to him. That's why Miss Hammeret's dropped out of the chat. I think she's on that one. So anyone, once we finish here, head over. It's in the chat where it is, but for the life of me, I can't remember. So
yeah, nice. It's mad that it's been a year. Like he was obviously always vocal on our chat room, and I've seen him on many channels. He was on Jake's channel. I think he was on E20 channel as well. And he was a lovely bloke. Bit nuts, but he was in the comments section mixing up capitals and lower cases and all sorts. We always used to have a chat because obviously he was a massive Elvis Presley fan, a bit like me, and we'd always. And if people remember when we first started doing this, when I lived in my old flat, I had an Elvis picture on my wall, and he always used to message me about that. And he was just a lovely bloke. It's a sad loss. He was a really nice bloke.
It's the channel's Green Street Elites. Ken Ammer's just said
Green Street Elites. So yeah, you can check that out after you leave here. Or check that out. Check it out whenever you want. Shout out to them. Just an update. It was 13.1 million West Ham earned overall. So you guys are right. 4.3 million was winning the competition. So we got some money out of it. Yeah. It weren't just the trophy. We got some money. So yeah, let's have some of that. So
just speaking of the obviously the final now, I got myself a bit of merch to put up on my wall. It got yesterday. It was a present, so I'll show you it now. I said I was meant to have it up, but I had time.
I know what this is. Yeah, I've seen these on Twitter. Yeah.
Very nice, mate. Very nice.
Memorabilia. Honestly, mate, I'm blown away how nice it is. It's unreal. I'm surprised how big it was as well. But yeah, it's lovely, mate. So if anyone wants one of these, head over to Hobbs Memorabilia. He's still got. They're flying out the door. I think nearly enough. Every West Ham fan's got one, but you want to have memories of that special night, mate. I can't wait to get up on the wall and just look.
Can we swap the Rice picture out if we want?
No. Rice was obviously part of our team. He was our captain that night, and he'll always be part of our history.
Where's it going? Where's the picture? Where are you putting it?
I don't know. I'm going to have a mix about with this room as well.
Come down, didn't they?
Yeah, I've got to.
Mate, I've got to get me a room so I can decorate it like yours, right? That's the thing I've got.
I've got a few more bits that I want to put up, but I've got to sort it out. But no, it's lovely. It's brilliant. So head over to Hobbs Memorabilia if you want to get yourself one. There's other stuff on there as well. I think he's got some Boeing stuff as well. So yeah, brilliant. I think, like I said yesterday when I see it, I said sometimes you get a bit of memorabilia and sometimes they're better off unsigned. It's just like honestly, like the medal. I was blown away with like how nice it was. I've seen loads of people
take it out and put it on.
It's fucking. Yeah, I wish I could, but no, it's nice. I'll sort this room out anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people always think it's a green screen you're in front of. They always think it's a green screen.
It would have been a lot cheaper and a less more hassle if it wasn't green screen. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But it's
Look,
not,
touch something right. Look. Yeah. Oh, that is special effects. Look at that for special effects.
But yeah.
But yeah, that's a testament to your decorating skills, right? People think that.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised. I always sit here and think I'm surprised one of them ain't fell down yet. So I always think when we're live that something's just going to fall. Like when I first got them up, I open the door and one would be on the floor, and I'm like, "Fuck's sake."
To be fair, like people see, when Nicky has his screen up on it, and a lot of time it looks moody, like he's disappearing into the background. And
when he drinks, when he has a drop of drink, and the can disappears.
Yeah,
Dan, I don't know about you, but that's why I prefer just to have the plain background.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
like if it's not gonna look like like as if it's real, I'd rather not have it. So yeah. Oh, it's sold out apparently. Just when I think it's sold out. Good thing to have though.
I'm sure if he sold that many in a few days, like then I'm sure he'll do more. So
Tom said, "What's the story behind the medal? You got another medal? Is there a medal there, or is he talking about the one in the frame?"
No, it's probably on about the one in the frame. I think it's we won a game about 6-7 weeks ago now. I don't think West Ham fans have really mentioned it that much, really, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's forever in our history. And I remember saying fucking ages ago, I said, obviously I've got the 1980 FA Cup final up there, and I wanted to add something to that, like a winner that I've seen. So I've actually got a picture of our playoff final, but I ain't put it up yet. I've got so much. I've even got even up here, like behind the scenes, I've got like me Frank Lampard senior picture that he signed for us, and I've got Miss Father's Day stuff. Look,
Teddy bears.
I've even got look a DeLorean and a bottle of tequila from Mexico. So. Yeah, it's basically all my shit just gets shoved in this room, to be fair.
The missus shove you and all the other stuff in there.
I'm happy in here, though, mate. I'm happy in here. So I don't mind it in here. I'll get shut the door and I'm in my own little world.
I have to boot the missus out because I ain't got the room otherwise, so she gets kicked out for the night. Shake Moni, though. I think she's at Bethnal Green at the Comedy Club tonight, or Hackney, wherever it is.
Is that still there? What?
No, not the backyard one.
Backyard Comedy Club.
Yeah, that's where she's at.
That's Lee Hurst that owns that, isn't it?
I'm sure it's Lee Hurst that owns that one.
Yeah, I ain't been there for years. What was the other one? Jonglers.
Yeah, that's gone now, I think.
Fucking hell, I remember
used to watch that on telly, Jonglers.
I remember going there years ago. Was you there, Scott, when we went? And we were sitting right at the front, and they had that lady comedian on, and she kept picking on Nicky.
No, I weren't there. I've been Jonglers quite a lot. I weren't there for that one, though. Weren't there for that.
It was years ago. I remember going there, and then we went for Saturday, and then we went O'Neill's. So, yeah, but Lee Hurst Backyard Comedy Club. I ain't been there for years. Yeah. I used to love it there. And Lee Hurst was actually a nice bloke. He used to, They Think It's All Over, he used to say he was a West Ham fan. He knew fuck all about football. Like, honestly, mate, he said that to us. He said, they just told me to say I support West Ham. Like,
really?
Because I was on a sports show. Yeah, he didn't really support, he didn't really like football. He didn't watch it. So, but he was a lovely bloke.
We're so massive that they select West Ham as your team.
He used to come out in the bar after us, and you could have a chat with him and that. So, yeah, he always come across. I think he was a bit ill as well. He's recently, like, obviously, yeah. So no,
I think you're right. I think he has been.
I was just about to say we should go to a comedy club, but I don't fancy getting tickets for Spurs games.
Hey, Tom Peters wouldn't be the same without the curtain backdrop, Dad. You know what? I have often thought about doing something. But yeah, like a lot of people seem to Loved it. I remember that I used to have the ones with like the floral patterns on them or whatever they were.
Did you see the video that went around the other day of the We Are Tottenham Fan TV boys doing their watch along for the friendly the other day, calling it our cup final when they're celebrating equalising against West Ham in a pre-season friendly? I was watching the build-up and they're going 4-1, 3-0, and then like, it's just fucking, it's mental, mate. It's mental.
Dan's is definitely a green screen. Could you imagine green screening a fucking grey curtain for someone green screened it? Really, I've got a beautiful backdrop like Ryan's, but I prefer to have it look like this.
Yeah, really, he's in like, he's got the like a lovely beach setting behind him, but he prefers to put the curtain up.
The fucking infamous curtain.
Nick's calling you out there, Dan, for the IT man. You know, you think you'd have a backdrop digitally?
Yeah, well, it's just space, isn't it? Like I'll look at something. I'll have to look at something because I look at that. I get something going on.
But yeah, right, what you were saying, it was we won two cup finals in the space of a month, according to Spurs fans.
Well, yeah, it's hilarious that the front they've got to say, "Oh, it's West Ham's cup final" after we literally won a cup final. Like, have some shame.
Well, the thing is, as well, it's actually nice to hear because they've been missing for about 5 or 6 weeks. I ain't really heard from any Spurs fans.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice.
It's nice to know this Harry Kane goes to Munich, and then they'll all go hiding again.
I had it out with a lot of Spurs fans. Someone said in the comments earlier that I'm like tapping toes of saying our West Ham fans are overreacting because we beat them. And all I said was, you know, it's something positive. You know, we played a lot of youngsters, a lot of first teamers missing out. Yeah, okay, we didn't dominate possession like they did, but we dug deep and we got the win. You know, with you know Mabama scoring and Potts, we had some youngsters in there. As you said, you've got to take some positives out of that, and they lost their mind.
I never looked too much into preseason games. You know, it was a good run out for the youngsters, and as you said, scoring goals. And look, Tottenham dominated the game. You know, they had 30 shots. We had 4. You know, we had 4 and scored 3. So
at the end of the day, mate, you got to look at it. It's preseason. It's not about getting the fitness under the belt. But when you look at it from a striker's perspective, you know, your strikers breed confidence. You know, the more goals they score, the more confident they feel in front of goal. You know, we last night, that game the other day, all 3 strikers scored. You know, against Perth, Ings got 2, didn't he? Skamaka scored a penalty. You know, so your strikers are scoring, and that when you look at that breeds confidence going into the season. You know, as I said, you look at our defending in that game. At times, it was awful. You know, the chances that we gave Spurs, we can't go into the season like that. But
you've also got to remember, Scott, is that they completely changed their whole 11 at half time, and we didn't make a sub. You know, we made subs like throughout the second half. Like, it was a totally different team. You got to expect that they're going to have more of the ball. They've got 11 fresh players just come on. That's rare. That never really happens, is it? Apart from pre-season friend. I mean, some of the pre-season friend, I've seen teams play three halves of 45 minutes. You know, it's mental what some people do in pre-season. So, but look, it is just pre-season. We're back now. We've got Dagenham tomorrow, and then obviously we've got the 2 games which will be a little bit harder. We've got to go to France and Germany, and then it's all leading up to Bournemouth.
I do think like that these types of games, though, there's a little bit more these sort of derbies, and there's a little bit more edge to it when it's a rivalry. Freddie Potts said it, ahead of the game. You know, as a West Ham fan, you know you always want to go out and beat Spurs, whether it's pre-season or during the season. You know, you want to have that little edge, that little bragging rights. So obviously, for the course of the season, it doesn't, you know, you can't take too much from it. But of course, I think a lot of players that know that rivalry want to win that game. You know, it's over there in front of, you know, a lot of international Australian fans, you know, that will buzz in that to them. This is like, that game to them was like a cup final because they're getting to see this London derby live. And you've got the Spurs fans at one end that... I imagine it mattered to them, and the same with the West Ham fans that were there. I bet you it mattered to them, that game.
I think there was about 48,000 people there as well, which is a great crowd for a pre-season friendly.
Yeah. So yeah, to them it was a big game, and the atmosphere was there. And like I said, you always, no matter what it is, you always want to beat them. And you know, if they would have beat us, we wouldn't have heard the end of it. And a lot of them, right, and it makes me laugh, right? A lot of them were saying that, oh, it doesn't matter because it's pre-season, but then we're wanking off how they played and Postler Tagliatelle or whatever his name is. Oh yeah, look at the football he played and fucking
Postecoglou, the Aussie Steve Bruce.
Yeah, I mean he seems like a nice guy, but they're getting, so they're telling us don't get all happy because you won because it's pre-season, and then they're saying, oh, I'm so excited to see how the football we played and it was brilliant and this and that, and I'm excited for the future. Which one is it? Because if our result don't matter, your performance don't matter. You want it both ways. So they're very hypocritical, Tottenham fans.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just looked at the fucking hour and 45 minutes. Like, it's gone quick, isn't it?
There you go. There's
gone quick.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like, there's sometimes we come on and it's like hardly anything to talk about. Nothing's happening. Now things are clicking and yeah.
No, good show. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, a lot of good interaction with the viewers. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching the show. And yeah, good one, lads. Let us know. Like I said, you know, if you want to go check out the Peach tribute, you can go check out that. But do keep it tuned into West Ham. We're going to keep our eyes on all the updates, all the goings on over the summer.
I think we are only about 15 subscribers away from 70,000. No, 10. We're 20.
10. Fucking hell, I wish I knew this. 20 subscribers away from 70,000. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe on your way out. 20. Yeah. Get us to that.
If you're new, just hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but you get to follow us on this lovely journey. And it's going to be a great season of more ups than downs.
We'll have to do something special for 70k. I know Graham still owes us his eyebrows threading for 50. So
Nicky still owes us a forfeit. Graham still owes us a forfeit. I think that we'll do a 70k special somewhere, or we'll go somewhere on a night out and we'll film there. We'll get them to do something together, the same forfeit together. Yeah. And then we'll just have a piss up and enjoy it. Because I remember us going out on a piss out for 5,000 subscribers. So surely now we should be dining on champagne and lobster.
Yeah, that's 5,000.
Not crab sticks and asti.
That 5,000 felt like such a huge number. It's 5,000 subscribers, and then 10,000 was like, oh my god, like it don't get better than this. 10, fucking hell, 5 figures.
Well, think about it now. Our subscribers can fill the London Stadium with a queue of people outside trying to get in.
Yeah,
so it's
mad.
It's good. So yeah, let's get to that 70k.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Give a subscribe on your way out. And yeah, keep updated with the channel. One thing left to say, lads. Come on, you up.